Hi, before we start, here's a thing or two about ragù alla bolognese. In 1891, an Italian chef named Pellegrino Artusi, Pellegrino Artusi published a recipe for mascaroni alla bolognese after he had spent a long time in the Italian city of Bologna. However, since over 100 years have passed since the original recipe's publication, the recipe has evolved in many ways, including, although the original calls for macaroni is often served with spaghetti outside Italy in what is known as spaghetti sauce. It is today served with flat noodles because they adhere to the meat better. Examples include tagliatelle, lasagna, or fettuccine being the one we're using for our recipe. Tomato, be it canned or in a puree, is now a common ingredient in bolognese sauces. In the original recipe, cream was recommended to add flavor and thickness. In our recipe, it is not. Not to mention, there's so many variations on the tomato, wine, pasta, meats, etc. that there's pretty much a bolognese recipe for every family, and there's just so many recipes for the sauce that we may never know what the best one is like. Oh well, let's get started.
Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. What's up, chefs? It's me, Hayden, back at it again in my kitchen. And today we're going to be making fettuccine on bolognese sauce, also known as ragù alla bolognese, which is the national dish of the European country, Italy. If you let me put down this knife for a second, I'll show you the wide menagerie of ingredients we have at show. We have half a cup of chopped carrots, a cup of chopped celery, a cup of chopped onion, 2 tablespoons of parsley, garbage, around 18 ounces of fettuccine noodles ready to boil when the water's done. We have 1 milliliter of nutmeg, 2 milliliters of pepper, 1 cup of white wine for cooking, around 400 milliliters of chicken broth, 1 cup of milk, around 320 milliliters of tomato puree, and that's it. So now all we have to do is wait for the water to start boiling, and we'll be right back once that's done. See you then. The water's looking normal, but the pan's looking pretty hot and it's on high. So how do I check if it's boiling? Simple, just while you're gone, we prepared the meats, which include 5 ounces of ground beef, 5 ounces of ground pork, and 5 ounces of ground veal, though I might have these mixed up. I'm not entirely certain, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. And as you might be able to hear, our water's boiling, which means it's high time to put the pasta in there. I'll just drop that in, and we'll let it sit for about 8 minutes. And we'll let it sit for 8 minutes, stirring occasionally just so we can get all the pasta in there, making sure that it's all gotten into the boiling water at some point or another, because we want all the noodles to be soft and nice and not hard and unfriendly to people who want to eat them. And we'll be right back with you when that has happened. Goodbye. I'm back again, and as you can see, pasta's way hot, so we're gonna leave that on simmer for a bit. I'm gonna take the noodle out, and if I can manage at least, and test if the noodle is what's called al dente. Now al dente is actually a very old Italian phrase which dates back to the early origins of Western cooking, and it translates literally to English as you can taste it, and it's normal, like normal pasta. We're pretty much just checking if it's cooked. So I'll just do that. And that's looking pretty good. So we're gonna discard this noodle because I took a bite out of it. No one wants saliva-ridden pasta all over their pasta. I'll put this down. We'll turn that off entirely. And next we're going to want to get our drainer.
Actually, the pot serves as a drainer. It's got a lip, so you put the lid on, lock it, and then drain it out.
Oh, very interesting, co-chef Mitchell.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
lock those on to make sure that it doesn't fall out and you'll
careful.
And I'll let that cool for a bit. And we'll be back when that's all cooled off. Bye for now. As you can not feel, the handles have cooled down a reasonable amount. So, since this pot actually has a built-in drainer on the side, as you can see, I'm just gonna pour it over the sink and let all the salt water out of the container while keeping all the fettuccine in. The grates are a bit small, so we'll just let that run for a bit, and not much is gonna happen, so we'll stop recording and get back to you on the next step. Welcome back. We've drained the spaghetti and it's just sitting over there because we won't really need to use it until later in the process. For now, we've got some olive oil into this pot, and we'll just be waiting for that to heat over medium heat. And once we've done that, we'll put these in, and I'll talk to you then. Welcome back, chefs of the world. It's me. And now that the olive oil's been on for a bit, I'm gonna put on the onion. And you can hear that right off the bat. Excellent start. Then we'll put on the carrots. Then we'll put on the celery. And then I'm gonna wanna put a cover on that.
Excellent. Yeah.
That one's too big, so we're gonna use this one instead. My bad. And we're gonna have that on for 8 minutes, stirring occasionally. Leave that for a bit, and ba-bam! The time started. I'll stir it a bit right out of the gate, just for the sake of having that. And we'll stop when it's been around 8 minutes and the vegetables are looking nice and cooked. And we'll see you then. What's up, guys? I'm back, and as you can see, the vegetables are looking good to go. But before we start the next step, we are going to have to wash the pot. It's pretty nasty, but other than that, the veggies are looking good to go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cap that off for a bit. I'm going off of the heat, put the lid aside for future use, and I'm going to be careful to remove as much of this as I reasonably can from the dish, because next we're going to be handling raw meat, which can be quite dangerous, especially if it mixes with other foods. So I'm just going to pour that in here, and I'll get back to you once we put the meat in. Hello, you look tired. Would you like some of my meats? We have ground beef, ground pork, and ground veal, and we're going to put them in the now heated pan to heat them. Put that in. Put that in. And we'll put that in. Scrape off the extra pieces. And we'll bring that over there for future cleaning. And then what I'm going to want to do is poke this around with the tongs so it becomes nice and separated, so we aren't dealing with big huge globs of meat. And then stir that around until it's nice and brown, around 8 minutes. So I'll set the timer, and I'll start stirring that around, and we'll see you when the meat is cooked. Hello everybody, welcome back. As you can see, the meat is now fresh and not raw anymore. It's nice and cooked and hot and ready to go, as you can tell by the cavalcade of bubbling delicious grease at the bottom. But before we do that, we are going to have to wash the tongs because they have been touching raw meat. You can just have a nice old stare at the fresh meat. Look at it. Fresh, moist, bubbling, cellophane, alkaline, meaty, wet, sloppy, brown, powdery, excellent, most firm, steamy, thick, richness, protein filled. Oh. I'm almost done drying the tongs, so luckily you won't have to deal with that intense verbiage any longer because I'm just drying the last tong. And like that, we're good. The tongs are back online. So what we're going to have to do now is we're going to have to add the wine, the salt, the pepper, the nutmeg, and our bay leaf. And after, we're going to have to cook it for 5 minutes. Although the recipe instructs not to stir, I'm going to stir a bit just to get the ingredients around so the meat is flavored appropriately all throughout the pasta. And we'll be back after 5 minutes. Okay, we're back, and I've got the onion mixture, the puree, and the broth, because now that this has been cooking with the bay leaf, wine, etc. for 5 minutes, I'll just give that a quick stir around. I'll lower that to a simmer, and then put in the onion mixture, all the vegetables we previously chopped up, the tomato puree, and the chicken broth. I'll stir that around, and then we're going to want to cover it up and cook for 1 hour, stirring occasionally. And I'm going to stir it every 5 minutes, though I believe it doesn't really matter as long as you just keep it stirred every now and then. And we'll see you when that's done. Actually, you don't have to cover it. What's up, everybody? As you can see, it's been 1 hour, time is off, the sauce is looking good as always. And now we can put in the parsley and the milk. And stir it around. Then we're going to want to bring it to a boil. And while we won't be recording this, once it's come to a boil, we'll reduce the heat and let it simmer for 40 minutes. And then we can do the finishing touches. See you then. Welcome back. As you can see, the pasta is done. It's been simmering and it looks good as ever. So we've got the pasta right over there, and we're just going to pour it right on top of the pasta. And then we're going to want to take our spoon and stir it around.